You're listening to Who Is My Neighbour, a podcast by You Belong Australia. Each episode, you'll join with Sorgul and Warren to meet some of Australia's newest neighbours. You'll hear their stories, listen to their hopes and dreams, and discover the incredible courage and inspiration they bring to our communities and richly diverse Australian culture. You'll also learn from some more established Aussies too, and the joy they've found living and working alongside our refugee and migrant background neighbours. Welcome to the Who Is My Neighbour podcast. My name is Tim.
I'm Rachel.
And we are so excited to be launching this brand new podcast from You Belong. There are so many incredible stories of hope of former refugees that have made their home, particularly here in the town of Toowoomba, but all throughout Australia and the world really. And we are so excited to be able to tell some of those stories, the challenges, the dreams, the aspirations these refugees have, but also about some of the Aussies, the locals in the community that are coming alongside them, right, Rach?
Yeah, for sure. Some of our local heroes who are out there in the community, making connections and friendships with former refugees, helping them out with integrating and just generally supporting them as they go through this journey of trying to settle in a new town, in a new country, and not being able to speak the language.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that we started a podcast actually called Justice Matters that I hosted last year was the first season, and we launched into a new season. But one of the things we realised as we were doing that podcast was the need to actually just focus in on some of these refugee stories.
Yeah.
And so we've got a couple of volunteers in the community. Why don't you tell us about who are going to be our co-hosts, and we'll be introducing them in the upcoming initial episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, so we've got a local fellow. His name is Warren Migley, and he'll be co-hosting along with a former refugee named Sorgul Warren. Both fantastic pillars in the community. For Sorgul, particularly for the Yazidi community that we have here in Toowoomba, and Warren he's all over the place volunteering and just giving his time, and so it's going to be exciting to get to know them first.
Yeah.
Before they launch into hearing about some of the stories of the people that are living next door to us.
Yeah. So really, we just hope that this is going to be an opportunity for us to learn about each other, be inspired by each other, and really showcase the beauty in everybody's story, especially those that have, really gone through a lot, that have really overcome some incredible tragedy in life, found a new home. And for many of us, that's something that a lot of us are familiar with. Yeah. And so we hope it strikes a chord in the community, shines a light on these wonderful stories of hope. We really look forward to bringing it to you. It's going to be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, different platforms. We encourage you to share these stories and really, share what's been inspiring for you as you listen in and learn.
Yeah, inspired. Plan to be inspired for sure.
Yeah, it's great. So without further ado, we're going to introduce in our upcoming episodes Warren Migley and
Sorgul Warren.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of Who Is My Neighbour. To learn more about the work of You Belong Australia, just head to youbelong.org.au and find out all the ways you can get involved and empower refugees to integrate and thrive. Lastly, would you help support this podcast simply by sharing it with others? You can also write a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or subscribe to us on YouTube. Yes, we are a video podcast as well. Well, thanks again for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Who Is My Neighbour.